Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's Captain Chandler with your police department. We're here live with City Manager Kenny Martin. It's your weekly interactive community update from our city manager about all the good things in Mount Juliet. But we are a day ahead because it's Memorial Day weekend coming up, and we plan to chat about COVID-19 updates, National Public Works Week, the Town Center Greenway update, and the Honoring America's Flag event that is at the corner of Mount Juliet Road near Old Lebanon Dirt Road. So, Kenny, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing fine. It's a beautiful day. We got a little bit of rain outside. Hoping to get a little break so I can go take me a good walk this evening. How you doing there, Captain?
Hey, all is good. You got Cheryl joining in, and Cheryl, welcome. For those who are joining, feel free to comment. If you have any questions in your mind, leave a question for us. Again, this is an interactive update where we can see your question and answer your question live to you to hopefully clear up any question that you may have. But feel free to ask about anything. This is the city manager, who is basically the CEO of the city of Mount Juliet in the government body. So we appreciate all for joining. So also have Candy joining us too and thanking us for what we're doing. So Candy, thank you for chiming in with us. So the first topic, Kenny, is the COVID-19 and the drive-through testing effort that's going on right now as we speak. How's all that going for us?
That's actually been going really well. And Captain, I want to thank you and your team in particular at the police department, because I know you've been providing some traffic relief and helping set cones up and directing people to the site. And a lot of people may not realize that we had to change location sort of last minute. We were at the Mount Juliet Middle School and had to move because they were allowing all the kids and teachers to come back and get a lot of their belongings that were left at the school, when we went on the COVID break, I guess you'd say. Mm-hmm. They shut down because of that. And it's went real well. The first day, I think it was 175 folks that were tested. Yesterday was a little bit thinner than that. And so we've been trying to do some marketing to get some more information out to folks. We want as many people as possible, of course, that want to take the test to take it. It's free of charge. Nobody meddles in any kind of personal, information or anything like this, just so that you can find out if you are infected in any shape, form, or fashion. If for whatever reason you're having a hard time getting signed up online, and you just want to still go, and they'll take good care of you if you're not sure how to, get online and sign up. But it's going well, and from what I understand, we're going to do it again next week, 2 or 3 days next week, and we'll probably just have it at the park to cut down any confusion for the location. But Parks Director and the Parks Department's been great to work with. We know that's probably a little bit of an odd sight to see COVID testing in the parking lot of a park, but when you're thinking about staging something like this, you have to think about ingress and egress and how people can come and go and get there. And the park was the best location. And we understand from maybe some of the little kiddos out there that if you look over and you see odd people in hazmat suits, that can be a little spooky for them. So we're hoping it didn't upset any little small kids or anything, but we're just trying to keep people healthy and safe out there. So it's working well together. And anybody wants to be tested, then we encourage you to go down. I think we're there till 4:30 today, and we'll be back again next week.
Yeah, I got word just like you did today that they're planning on doing it for next week, and it is tucked away at Charlie Daniels Park. It's not by the playground. It's by the far, east corner, kind of next to the old football fields that used to be out there, and it's tucked away, going very smooth. There's no traffic backup. They're waving people through just fine. And like you mentioned, if you can't sign up online, just stop by and they will take good care of you to ensure that you get the test. And I think the test results are about 2 to 5 days, and then that person will be emailed their test results, whether the test came back negative or positive.
If we'd have been sitting here a year ago, Captain, and talking about this same thing and predicting that in one of our parks we'd be doing COVID testing for some horrid virus, we would have never estimated this or guesstimated it in any shape, form, or fashion. Nobody would have predicted it, nor the tornadoes. And our little community's been through a lot. But again, I can't overstate this enough, is that just how proud I am of our community, our police department, and our entire staff, through the fire department, you name it. Every employee, every citizen is essential, and we will make sure we're taking good care of everybody.
Right. Yesterday, we also received masks from the Tennessee Department of Health. We had 1,500 here at the police department, and they wanted us to distribute them to the community. Our lobby is open 24/7, and they're sitting out in our lobby for anyone to grab. And they've been very popular today. So to our community who you haven't heard, you can stop by the police department 24/7 anytime to get a free face mask. And these are the face coverings that are recommended by the CDC, by the Tennessee Department of Health. And, from what I've seen, they're very comfortable. They have a Tennessee logo on them. So they're very soft too. So they seem to be very nicely made by whoever made this for the Tennessee Department of Health. Some people were asking, where were these made? And they were made in the United States of America. They weren't sent or outsourced to another country. They're made in the USA, and that's what we're distributing on behalf of the Tennessee Department of Health. I know the governor's relaxing some more restrictions this week. We're going to release our the Mount Juliet, secondary phase of our guide, which basically is the same thing the governor is releasing. It's a little bit easier to read our guide, and that release will be posted later today. But tomorrow, Friday, restaurants can increase their capacity. Large entertainment venues can open back up with physical distancing guidelines in place. And I think the point of it is if you can distance, if you can keep people separate, if you can have barriers and face mask on in certain environments, and if you're constantly disinfecting and washing your hands, that's the way to go. And they're slowly reopening things that can do that to keep people safe.
Yep, and you're right. And speaking of those masks, for folks that if you happen to not be able to get by the police department, and it's Monday through Friday from 8 to 5, we also have those here at City Hall.
Great.
So if you got any business to conduct here or just want to pop in, you don't have to come in and talk to anybody. You can come right into the lobby and just grab a few or grab however many you need and just go right back out. But yeah, it's just appreciate everything everybody's doing. And actually the mask, I had a couple other masks before, and I was a little skeptical of this mask when I first got it. But to be honest with you, it's really easy to tie. Some masks can be difficult to tie.
Mm-hmm.
Something about the material it's made out of, it actually ties quite easily, and it's easy to breathe through it as well. So glad we were able to get those and get them out to our citizens.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like here at the police department, you can just walk in, grab, and go. You don't have to say a word to anyone. We're not even taking anyone's information. You literally just walk in, grab the bag that the mask comes in, and you can leave. But awesome. So this week is National Public Works Week. Last week was National Police Week, and now we're in another week of where we honor our public works crews that are out there. And so tell us about all the good work our public works crews do for this city.
Yeah, our public works crew is phenomenal. You don't sometimes think about, when you think of public works, you think of just typical things like road construction, pothole repairs, things of that nature. Our public works department does everything. If you can think of it, if it's broken, needs fixed, your roadway systems being put in, your sidewalk systems being put in, if you're seeing that, the engineers and the other staffers behind the scene, they're doing all that. And of course, as everybody can imagine, they're always busy, but imagine since March 3rd when the tornado hit, all the debris removal, the chipper service, things of that nature, they're doing it. And they're such a talented group, and they're such a passionate group. Many of them have been working 24/7 since the tornado struck, and weekends. I get out a lot on the weekends myself and work, and there's not a day to go by that you don't recently see trucks and equipment at public works, personal vehicles. So they're out in city trucks working. So we appreciate them immensely, and we're glad that they're being recognized, and we want to thank them. I also want to thank people for their patience. Being in the position I'm in, sometimes I get complaints to where something got missed or overlooked, a brush pile or something of that nature. And, or maybe we hadn't got there quite as quick as we would have in the past. And I appreciate everybody's patience, and I apologize if there's anybody that's got overlooked, but these teams and these crews have just been so busy. Sometimes they'll make a trip and come back, and before they get back, you might have thought that they left you. If that does happen inadvertently and you got overlooked, just call us and we'll get somebody out there immediately to take care of it. But they're just dedicated, just like every other city employee that we've got, and they want to do a great job, and they do. And you don't necessarily know who they are. You don't always necessarily recognize the vehicle, but we got a great bunch.
Yeah, and they continue to do all the good work. We had that other storm come in too that really, did widespread wind damage across the city, and they continue to pick up those debris piles as well. And so some people, think, man, that debris pile's been sitting there for a while on my street. And just know that they're coming, and they're having to go through every street within the city, in addition to all the tornado cleanup, to get that debris. And they're working very hard, from what I see. That they're out in the morning, they're working all day, and they finally get to go home. And sometimes they're out on the weekends.
Yeah, and I think they've gotten most all the debris removed, from the tornado damage. Most all of that's gone. There may still be a little bit of remnants here and there, or maybe some folks haven't got all up to the road, but Now they can focus on just the typical stuff that we'd see this time of year with some of the storms, or just maybe if you're trimming some things in your yard and you put it out by the curb. We'll get back into a normal routine on our rotation of the neighborhoods. So when we come out and pick up these brush piles, but the exciting thing is we're going to be a lot better at it in the future, because for one is we got a whole lot more experience that we wish we didn't have. And also the city and the citizens stepped up and bought us 2 really nice grapple trucks that'll make that process a whole lot more efficient going forward.
Awesome. Well, they're doing a fantastic job. And to the Public Works Director, Andy Barlow, and his team, we appreciate all that they do for us as a police department and for what they do for our community.
Yeah, and Mr. Barlow lives here in this city as well, and his wife teaches here at the Christian Academy. His kids go to school here, and it's his passions for this community as well. So if there's something we can do better, something we didn't do, you just let us know and we'll get it taken care of.
Awesome. Yeah, switching to the Greenway, the town center Greenway, I noticed they started paving already. That is nice to see being done. And I guess it's still on track for being completed at the end of June, close to July. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're shooting for the end of June, and that will be, of course, they're doing pavement today. If you've been down the Greenway Day, so they're actually doing some paving today with the rain. But once they get the pavement down, of course, then they'll start coming back and doing the landscape and putting dirt in certain places, getting the parking lot striped, getting all the finished up pieces going. And then we'll go through the Public Works Department and make sure that everything's in place before we sign off on the project. Because once we sign off, then it's then a completed project.
Great. And I'm sure there'll be a ribbon cutting or a grand opening event for that, so we can celebrate the fact that this Greenway's been completed.
Yeah. The exciting thing is that even without a ribbon cutting, people are already using it, which is good. So if you want to get out there and use it, now we encourage you right now not to be out there with any kind of motorized vehicles or anything heavy that might damage the pavement. But if you're just walking on it, you might want to make sure that it's not hot and that it has cured and cooled off, because we don't want anybody getting hurt. And you'll see that some of it's roped off, but we know sometimes folks will venture out, test it to make sure before you walk on it that your feet aren't going to stick to it. But with the rain today, I say it's probably cooled it off by now.
Right. And a lot of people didn't realize that, they had this question, why did the Greenway go next to the railroad tracks? But a lot of people were thinking a different track. But, being in the police department and you being around for many years in the police department prior to city manager's office, yes, we've always had people either walking or running or biking along Division Street or walking or running on the railroad tracks. And so now this Greenway gives a safe path for them to take their activity off the railroad tracks and off of Division Street, and it puts them on the Greenway. So that's, I believe, part of the reason why we received this grant for the majority of the funding for the Greenway is it's really a safety project to keep people off the tracks and to keep people off of Division Street.
It does. And, and if you think about it, I walk nearly every day myself. I walk Mount Juliet Road just because I like it. I like the activity. I like seeing the busyness of the cars going by, and that's dangerous. Even though I'm on a sidewalk, something could happen because you're that close to the road. Well,
Right.
same with train tracks or even West Division. Yeah, you never have the ideal, perfect situation where it's going to be 100% safe.
Mhm.
A lot of it involves common sense and just being safe. Of course, we don't want anybody walking on the train tracks, and we don't want or wish for a car to run off of West Division Street, and enter the Greenway that way either. But
Right.
it is safe. It was an enhancement beyond what it was, and of course with the police department patrolling the way that you all do, and your bike patrol to be even safer. And we'll make sure we keep it safe. And if there's an area afterwards, like when we first put in the Eagle Park, if you remember, we didn't have the guardrail at first.
Right.
We worked with the state and some other actual local businesses that funded that guardrail at the tune of $18,000, and it's made that area even safer. So we'll continue to fine tune to make it safer. But those things can work in conjunction with one another and be safe. And trust me, through all the engineers and the safety advisors it had to go through to even be built, trust me, it was done safe, and safety is paramount.
Right, absolutely. Well, good. That's great to hear. So it's Memorial Day weekend, and every Memorial Day weekend we see these beautiful flags go up somewhere in Mount Juliet. So just give us a overview of what that event is, who puts it on, if there's any thank yous that need to go out about that in a new location.
Yes, absolutely. No, it's a whole lot of people to thank, so I don't even know where you would really start with that. But the people that put on that usually do it every year at the corner of Mount Juliet Road and East Division. That's where the RTA parking is, and of course the new clock tower monument. Unfortunately, this year with the construction going on, it couldn't be held there. So we moved it down to Jones Park, which is right across from Wilson Bank and Trust. And it's basically a tribute and to the families and to our soldiers and our veterans for all that they do for this country in the past, in the present, and what they'll do for us in the future. And it's a huge thank you to them. And I believe it's the Tyler Cates, correct me, Captain, if I'm wrong, but I believe it's the Tyler Cates Lodge.
Right, for the American Legion in their
Exactly.
281.
Exactly. And sometimes I get that backwards, but
Sure.
Just can't thank them enough. And for those of you that are those folks out there that participate in this, these are volunteers that do this for the community. And there's so much work goes into it. Everything from laying out the flags. It's not just a simple thing of going there and putting the flags in the ground. They actually have a formation that they lay out to where they're spaced. And each flag has the name of an individual on it, or a family, or I guess who this flag is a tribute to or an honor to. But they spend 24 hours a day down there once they set these up. And so the police department will typically set up surveillance cameras and things of that nature to make sure those people are safe, to where if anybody does have to step away, there's no vandalism or anything like that. But it's we'll have some lights down there, so you can go anytime you want to, day or night. And there's going to be somebody there, and the flag field will be lit up. And I actually think this year's location will be just as good as last year's location, maybe to some degree even better. And it's absolutely beautiful. And if you haven't seen it, I hope for some decent weather this weekend and a little bit of wind, which is perfect. And it's just absolutely heartwarming to see it. It's most touching when you see this. If you've never seen it, you got to go see it.
Yeah, I have an email from Pat Unger, and he is with the American Legion Post 281. I think they're also working with the local exchange club. But he simply said they wanted to do something for the community by sponsoring an uplifting patriotic event to hopefully give people a few days of goodwill, hope, patriotism, and encouragement, and maybe put a smile on everyone's face. And I know when I drove by today, looking over there, it does put a smile on your face. It's just beautiful to see our nation's flag, and many of them flying in the wind in the center of town.
Yeah.
Just to show how patriotic our community of Mount Juliet is.
Well, and speaking of Mr. Pat, what's so amazing, people like him and Mr. Pat, which of course he's a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he thinks us, and I'm like, Mr. Pat, don't think us. We're honored. I would not be in the position I'm in. Our community would not be so great, and our country wouldn't be so great if it wasn't for fine men and women like Mr. Unger. And I just can't thank them enough for their passion and for what they do every year, the work that goes into that. And it gets hot this time of year. And there's been years in the past when it was a lot hotter, and they're out there. And we just can't thank them enough. So, Mr. Pat, thank you again for all that you do. I can't give it justice that it deserves. All I know is I'm blown away with it, and it just it's very heartwarming.
Yeah, great. Awesome. Well, so folks, thank you for joining. There's 72 of you watching right now. So if those 72 have any questions, just type those in the comments. We'll go ahead and just get to the questions now with what you have. I see a few here that I'll be able to click through and we'll be able to tackle. But again, if you like anything we're saying, if you like the broadcast, click the like button for us, put a little wow face or a smiley face. It definitely helps this video get more traction and more views out there on Facebook or YouTube, wherever it may be. And we're just simply trying to get the city's message out there and show the community that we do have a platform online during this COVID-19 precaution stuff where you can just jump in and get it straight from the top of our city leadership about what is going on. So
can I add something real quick while I'm thinking about it? On the clock tower monument, since we mentioned that earlier, right now we've got the power cut off on it. And the reason is we were hoping to light that up red, white, and blue this weekend, but we're doing some fine tuning on it. And to be extra safe, we've cut the power off to it. So unfortunately, the lights won't work. And of course, the clock won't work right now while it's happening. So if folks call in or if you're curious as to why the clocks aren't working, we've got the power turned off right now, but we'll get that rectified here shortly. And also there was one other thing I've had some calls about today. Sure. It's really nothing to do with the city per se as far as city government, but the little red brick building that's on Mount Juliet Road, it was originally the Bank of Mount Juliet. It's one of the oldest standing commercial businesses or buildings in Mount Juliet. There was apparently an article in the paper about the plans for that development with the Christmas store and Dunkin' Donuts. And I think the way maybe that it read is that somehow or another those tenants would be put out or that building would be demoed. And that's not true. This is just a dream and a vision for the future. The tenants that are in that building will remain in that building. The landlord is a good man, and he's working with those tenants, and they're aware of what his long-range plans are. and any plans that involves his development in that building will involve those two tenants. So they would not be put out. And I think that people will love what they're going to see there. I felt like I needed to mention that because I understand sometimes the way things read in the paper. This gentleman is a fine man, and what he's going to do there is going to be beautiful. He's looking at maybe an entertainment venue, even a veterans museum to some degree. There's some exciting things going on there, but whatever happens there, the building will remain in place, and those tenants would still be involved in some shape, form, or fashion. So, and none of this is going to happen overnight. So that's important to state for anybody that's listening that might be curious. We love our town. This gentleman loves our town, and what we're trying to do is enhance it and not do anything that would hurt anybody. So I hope that makes some sense. I don't know if you've heard any comments about that or not. We've had a few calls. It would be a beautiful development, but nobody would be put out of business.
Sure, absolutely. You know, and with social media today, rumors can spread like wildfire, and it's good to try to correct that as quick as we can. If you ever have doubt about something, call the official source on that and talk with them about it to hopefully clear up whatever falsehood you may have heard or whatever thing that you may doubt being truthful or not. Because in the world of social media, we really have to watch out for false information that's out there, because there's a lot of it, and there's people out there who want to spread false information to hurt other organizations, hurt other people, and unfortunately we have to fight through that every single day for everyone.
Exactly. Thank you. Thanks for letting me add that in.
Yeah, absolutely. So Charlene has the question: what type of test is the big long swab up the nose? And I assume that's the COVID test. And Charlene, it's testing if you are positive or negative for the virus COVID-19, and it is the swab that goes into your nose. They're not testing for the antibodies. We received some of those questions too. And the antibody test means they're going to test you to see if you had COVID-19 in the past. This is a test to see if you are currently infected with COVID-19. But yes, unfortunately, it is the swab up the nose. But from what I've seen from different people that have visited that, they stated it might have been a little bit uncomfortable, but it wasn't unbearable. And once they were done, they got through it very quickly, and the staff that is manning the testing site took very good care of them. Going through, Paul has a question: are there any restricted areas due to the tornadoes? He's providing support for some clients as a professional land surveyor in the area, and we don't have any restrictions out there. Of course, if you are a contractor and you've contracted with someone to do work, you definitely can go in. Our police officers continue to patrol the area very heavily, because there are those people who have no business being in those neighborhoods or around the homes that have been damaged, and they may attempt theft or trying to steal copper in the area. So there's heavy patrols, but if you have a purpose to be there, a lawful purpose to be in those neighborhoods, you have nothing to worry about. Greg says he loves Mount Juliet and just wanted to thank everyone for all that they do. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Debbie got her mask today. Debbie, glad you were able to get one again. For those who have joined later, there are masks available at City Hall from 8 to, was it 5 you're open down there, Kenny?
Yes, sir.
8 to 5 at City Hall, and then 24/7 at police headquarters. Just walk in the lobby. You can grab it and go. You don't have to say anything to anyone. Holly is just thanking Public Works for all that they do, and Charlene's talking about the beautiful flags that she sees out there for Memorial Day. Candy mentioned that she is so thankful for that Greenway. She's been loving it, and watching the people walking along the road was very dangerous. And we agree with you. We're glad there will be a completed, safe location for people to walk, ride their bikes, exercise, and do whatever.
And Candy's really involved with the Kiwanis Club, which has been, puts the flags out on Mount Jet Road that you see, all the beautiful flags up and down Mount Jet Road, and a lot of the businesses in the front lots. She's very heavily involved in that. And I noticed somebody said they love this community, and I couldn't agree more. I think we have a beautiful community. It's awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you. Richard's question here: Will the Greenway connect to Willoughby Station? And I believe there's plans for a sidewalk. You can maybe speak on that.
Yes, sir. We will at some point, and we're actually, our city engineer, Mr. Barlow, and his team is working through that. There was some talk at one point about a roundabout and things of that nature at Willoughby Station. I know there's some folks that are for roundabouts, some that aren't. The whole purpose of the roundabout would be to make it where people could traverse that area safer, get in and out of Willoughby. Captain, you know that better than anybody because of crashes and things of that nature. And what's so good about roundabouts is that it still enables the right-of-way traffic to continue to go, but it slows things down, enables the people on the secondary streets to get out. So once all that project comes about, that sidewalk would be extended, of course, up South Green Hill Road to Willoughby Station, and hopefully beyond that.
Right.
Of course, to do it right at this particular moment would be, it'd be a waste because we just undo that at some later point. So that's in the works. But in the interim, for those that want to utilize it, there is a trailhead at each end of the Greenway along West Division. So I know that's not as convenient as being able to just walk from your neighborhood, but even without the sidewalk, it's pretty safe through that little spot, because if I remember correctly, there's decel lane at the start going south, I believe, out of Willoughby, and then there's a little bit of a decel lane as you go north as well, but it's a shorter section.
Right. And I think the reason the roundabout is a safer option from what we've seen from our crashes is there's a very high number of failure to yield crashes where vehicles would turn in that limited sight distance in front of other cars and be T-boned. And if there was a traffic light there, you would still have that failure to yield situation where cars wanting to turn left into Willoughby, if they were going northbound, would still encounter that limited sight distance, but the roundabout would eliminate that. And like you said, there is lanes in place so people can continually flow out of Willoughby and south onto South Green Hill Road, especially during the morning when they go to the elementary school. They just continually flow through there to easily get out of their neighborhood. And I know that was a concern I've seen out and about.
Yeah. And Mr. Brown's question is a great one, because years ago, I started the city a little over 30 years ago, and we didn't have but a handful of sidewalks. There was no sidewalk. Even the old sidewalks are on Mount Juliet Road, when it was 2 lanes, they were just all to pieces. And, there was a big desire or even request for sidewalks back then. But as we've evolved over the years, folks really like the sidewalks. They like the greenways. And as you drive around the city right now, everywhere from Belinda Parkway to Woodland Place to Highway 70 to you name it, you're seeing sidewalks and greenways going in, because we're trying to have that connectivity. And even now, I don't think you can find a bicycle. If you went anywhere right now to try to buy a bicycle, it'd probably be hard pressed to find one, because a lot of people now, because of transit, are realizing riding a bike and being outside, not only is it good for your health, but it's also, it's good to be outside of an automobile, or not necessarily on a train or in a bus. You're seeing more and more of that. So what better than walking if you can walk somewhere? And we want to encourage that because it's safe. So if you live in Willoughby, other than that one little section where you might not have the sidewalk, once you get on it, you can literally walk. If you've got it in you, you can walk all the way to Kroger or the heart of Mount Juliet and go up and sit in the swing at the general store, or walk down and get you something to eat and burn the calories off by the time you get back.
Right. Essentially, you would be able to ride your bike to the theater and watch a movie.
That's right.
When the overpass is done.
Yeah.
At Mount Juliet Road, when we add those sidewalks and additional bike lanes on the overpass. So
yeah, some of this makes me smile, Captain, because I think back to when we started adding some of these features, and it'd be like a sidewalk and you saw that it sort of went to nowhere. And you're right, in some sidewalk sections, it will stay that way for a while, but ultimately that'll pick up and connect with another sidewalk. And there used to be some joking too. We had these bike racks that would be at a lot of our businesses, which we require now. Any new business has put in a trash receptacle, because you need a place to put your trash, and a bike rack, because if you got a bike and it's nice, you just don't want to leave it there on the kickstand for somebody to take. Well, now you'll start seeing those utilized, so that it's good that they're in place, because that way if you ride your bike, nobody will take it.
True. And along with our infrastructure improvements, Deborah's asking when the traffic light at Northwest Rutland and North Mount Juliet Road will be working. I notice it's on its period now where it's flashing, and eventually it will be turned into full operation. Do you maybe have a date on that yet? Or
yeah, I talked to the Public Works Director earlier, and I didn't think to get an update, but normally they'll flash those lights for about 2 weeks. And I think it's been about a week, so we're probably looking at another week. It could be a little bit sooner, and I wish I had an exact answer from Miss Deborah. But the reason they do that is so that people can get acclimated to it with it flashing. You treat it as you always did before. But once it goes active, people have to be a little extra careful until everybody gets used to it, because it will take a little while. But I'd say about another week, and they'll be active.
Awesome. Sean Walsh out of Triple Crown. Sean's the president of Triple Crown. And Sean, if you're listening, appreciate all you've done for that neighborhood. You really kept those residents very organized throughout the storm, and you were truly there for them and looking out for them. And I can see this question as a continue of that effort to look out for them. But your question is Mount Juliet crew still picking up tree and shrub debris from the direct windstorm? And yes, they're still going around picking up that debris.
Yeah, and just be patient, because if they've made the loop, once the vendor leaves this week, Captain, and then we pick back up with our regular public works crews and do it, they'll get more of a rotation. But if you get overlooked or you have any questions, feel free to call me or Public Works or somebody here at City Hall, and we'll get you an answer to where you might either be on the schedule or if we just need to make a special trip. And I appreciate Sean as well for everything that he does.
Absolutely. Lisa just wanted to say she greatly appreciates these updates and thanks us so much. So thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, and I apologize for the talent on my end.
No, it's just fine. I think we're all learning together. I never would have thought in my career of law enforcement that I would have to talk to news cameras or do these live blogs, but somehow I got into that track and I'm here. But I enjoy doing it. And I'm glad that we're able to provide a service to the citizens and keep them informed about what's happening in our community. And what I always say with any relationship, communication is very important, whether it's with your friend, whether it's with your spouse. If you don't have good communication, you really don't have a good relationship. So that's why it's good for us to have this good communication with our community members, because we truly want to have a good, positive relationship so everyone can see that we truly care, that we want them to know what's happening so we can keep them safe in our community.
See that there's Miss Carmelita has a question.
Yeah, she does. She's joining late. Apologizes. No worries, Carmelita. Glad you joined us. But she's asking about parking on the Greenway. And I guess there is some parking elements designed along the Greenway, right?
Yeah, on each end, on the west and south end, there is. You get the park at the RTA parking. Once it gets expanded, if you really wanted to have a good walk and we're out and about, you can go to the RTA right here in the heart of Mount Juliet. That's where it actually starts, the first phase. But if you said, okay, I don't want to go that far, I want to go down to, I think is it 2nd or 3rd Avenue? 3rd Avenue, I believe it is where the main trailhead is, where Eagle Park is. You can park there. And then there's minimal parking at the other end, which is closest to South Green Hill Road. So if you wanted to park there, you could do that as well. And if, who knows, at some point, if it gets used to the point to where we don't have enough parking, we could always look at possibly adding some additional parking.
Cool. One of our commissioners chimed in with a question. Mr. Justice, can we ride a Harley on the Greenway Trail? He's asking for a friend, and he said that Marquita Hall wanted to know. So I don't think I've seen Marquita on a Harley, but I have seen Ray riding around on a motorcycle. So
yeah,
Ray, if we see you on the motorcycle and if we can catch you, there's likely going to be some fine or punishment involved with that. But no motorized vehicles are allowed on the Greenway, correct?
That's right. But if you want to name your bicycle Harley, you can do that.
That's it. Yeah. So if you can name your bike Harley, then have at it. Have at it.
Everybody knows Commissioner Justice. They know he's a hoot. He's a good man. We appreciate what he does too. And he throws us some curveballs sometimes with some of his questions there. But yeah, no motorized vehicles on the Greenway.
Sonia has a question. What's the status of the sidewalks going in on Lebanon Road between Nonneville and Mount Juliet Road?
Yeah, they just let the bids on that. Matter of fact, and when I talked to Mr. Barlow earlier about that, you should start seeing some phasing in and some construction soon. I believe the first phase starts down around the new Taco Bell and Little League Park, and it'll start working its way west. The city's worked really hard at getting a lot of grants, and so eventually what you'll see sidewalks on both sides of Highway 70. The first phase will be all the way. Actually, there's 2 phases involved, but it'll go all the way down to Nonneville. And then our hope is, of course, over the years, is to continue to get grants and keep extending that. Had sidewalks been more popular back when we widened Highway 70 years ago, Captain, but Highway 70 would look like Mount Juliet Road. You would already have those sidewalks in place. But back then, sidewalks weren't as much of a priority as they are today. And so when that construction phase came in, I don't even know that it was even discussed, not necessarily from a city, but even a state standpoint. It just wasn't the priority. It was all about just getting the lanes in for traffic. And you look back on it now and you can see where those sidewalks could be. And our desire is that ultimately have those run all the way to the county line and connect with Nashville and connect with every Greenway to where you pretty much walk anywhere you want to. So I hope that answers the question and then some.
Awesome. And then, of course, all the positive comments about people love living here, people saying us hello. Donna Rosner, appreciate your comment. And
hey, we see Miss Donna there. Miss Donna is the spouse of the world famous, what we used to call the mayor of Gladeville, Rick Rosner, who was one of my co-workers, and Captain, I think yours as well. We miss him dearly. We miss Miss Donna, and Mr. Rick put a lot of years in here with the Mount Juliet Police Department and City of Mount Juliet, and we miss him.
Absolutely. But
he used to call him the king of Elvis too, the king of Mount Juliet, King Elvis Mount Juliet, King Rick.
I'll always remember him as the mayor of Gladeville. But
that's right.
where he lived, and I believe where Donna still lives. But appreciate all his many years of service to our community. He was here for a very, very long time, kept the city safe. All right. So thank you all for joining the live broadcast. I'll turn it back over to Kenny so he can just close it out for a little bit. Have at it, Kenny.
Yeah, I just want to finish up and tell everybody, thanks for patronizing local businesses. Thanks for being safe. We want you to do that first and foremost. And we understand it's how you achieve that is up to each individual person. Nobody's mandating, requiring anything necessarily here, but we definitely encourage it for everybody to be respectful of one another. A lot of good businesses out there. Please patronize those, and please know that we're continuing to work with bringing new businesses to town. You would think at a time like this that things would slow down dramatically, and they have to some degree. The tornado didn't help, COVID didn't help. We still live in the greatest place on the planet, Mount Juliet, Tennessee, and there's a lot of interest in our community from other restaurants and all. And I know that folks love eating, and I know that they love places where you can get curbside or to go or drive-through or whatever it may be. We've got people standing in line that want to be in this community. So if you see a business that leaves, we hate that business leaves. We hate that that Logan's left. We hate that that Pier 1's going to be closing. They're closing all their stores. But when that happens, is that business that they had before, say Pier 1 had similar items as what At Home does, or Hobby Lobby or something like that. Well, that business can still go to those other businesses and get that product. But we're already working with another possible replacement for the Pier 1 store, which hasn't even closed yet. So you'll probably be looking for some liquidation, and that's just part of business attrition. If we all think about when we were kids, we think of businesses that used to exist way back then,
right,
and they don't anymore. And that's sad. You think about Opryland. We all, for those of us that patronize that business, we loved it, and it's gone, and we still miss it and reminisce about it, and we always will. And we never want to see any business close. But once they do, just know that your staff and your city team is working hard to put a business back in there that's something that you want. We can't always dictate what comes, because if somebody comes in, for example, the question came up recently, I think about the business here on Mount Juliet Road with the Dunkin' Donut. They said, well, why couldn't it have been a different place or this? Well, it's because, the democracy allows somebody to come in basically and pick and rent that location. The city can't dictate that necessarily, but we are recruiting businesses based on what our citizens tell us that they want. So if there's a business out there that you'd like to see in your community, for example, I know that everybody wants Sam's. Everybody wants a bowling center. Most everybody wants skating rinks and things of that nature. And we've actually got some land that was purchased by somebody that wants to do a bowling center, an entertainment center like that. But with the state of the current economy and the COVID, as you can imagine, most of those places have been closed, so there's not a desire to do that right now.
Right.
But just know that we're working hard to bring everything that everybody wants here. But first and foremost, safety. That's the most important thing. We're focusing on that. So we got a new fire department that'll be coming, and there's some additional things we're doing at the police department. But patronizing your businesses means the world to us, not necessarily just here at the city, but to the school system and the sheriff's department and everybody else, because without your patronage and supporting our local businesses, then those revenues don't come in that help support those businesses so they can continue. So yes, I'm partial, I'm selfish, and I want everybody to do everything they possibly can in Mount Juliet long before you do it anywhere else. And I assume that anybody else in those other communities feels the same way. But we can't do what we do without the people out there that's watching this today, and without those that live in this community. You know that. I mean, I started here 30 years ago, and when you started here, gosh, what was it, 15 years ago? You were just a kid then. You were, I think, part of our Explorer program, then went into dispatch. And you look at how this community's changed, and the people that change it are the people out there that's watching, and those are the people that we proudly serve. And we can't do what we do without them. So we're going to do everything we can to take care of them, and we encourage other people to help take care of them as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need each other.
That's it, and continue to just lift each other up, and do what you can to help your neighbors if you see that they need the help that they need, and support your local businesses, because they keep our community running and moving forward, and we need to support them as best as we can.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this, and here we go with the mushiness, but one of our, what is it? I'm drawing a blank on it, but there was an organization, what is her, Leadership Wilson. Just having a senior moment there. Leadership Wilson, one of the class groups, had a thing called Be Kind, and they were selling these little license plates that said Be Kind on it. And we need to be kind now more than ever. We've all been through it. We see all kinds of negativity every day. And I can't overemphasize or stress that enough, is that everybody that you see out there, they're not your enemy. They're, and sometimes we get mad at each other. That's that the other person that's in traffic that's holding us up, or whatever it may be, or that's the person that beat me in line at the grocery store, or got the last pack of toilet paper, or whatever it may be. We're human beings, and we need each other. And the kinder we are, the easier this life is to get through, and the quicker we get back to some sense of normalcy. I don't know what that new normal, as everybody says, and some people are sick already hearing the new normal, but the new normal ought to be being kinder, being more patient, being good to one another, and understanding we're in this together. Everybody's enduring it. It's not just us. Our public works director likes to say sometimes we complain about traffic. He says it's important to remember that we are the traffic.
Mm-hmm.
When we're out there, we're another person. So we may look at somebody else as they're creating the issue with traffic. We are too. So we have to share this great, big, beautiful place. We have to share this city. And I know that we're working together to make sure that we keep it beautiful and make it even better. So what's our motto? To make Mount Juliet better today than it was yesterday, and better tomorrow than it is today.
Yep, and I truly think we'll have a better normal once this is over, like you said. And I think we're all learning from the precautions that we're in. We're all learning as a community how we came together during the tornado, and let's just continue to be there for each other and be kind and be humble in the fact
That's right.
that we don't know what someone else is going through in life, we just got to be there for them and support them as best as we can.
Absolutely.
Hey, everyone who joined, thank you so much for joining and watching us as we give the live update to the community. Kenny, thank you so much for what you do for the city and always being there ready to jump on this and give an update to the community. I know the community appreciates it from all the comments that I get when I'm out there in the community, from what we see on the Facebook comments, YouTube comments, and on Twitter. Everyone really enjoys these updates. And for those of you who do enjoy the updates, please please add a smiley face, a wow face, share this on Facebook and on Twitter. The more shares we get, the more likes we get, the more engagement we get with this video, and we're able to get our message out there to the community.
And I want to thank you, Captain.
Sure.
I'd be remiss in doing that because there's a lot of work that goes into setting this up every week. You make it look easy. These are things that I can't do, a lot of things I can't do. And also Travis Taylor, our IT director.
Right.
And these two gentlemen are fine men. I appreciate everything you two guys do for not only for me, but for our citizens in our city. We are so blessed.
Yeah. To all of you watching, thank you so much for joining. If there's anything that any of us can do for you, please just give us a call or shoot us an email. We are here for you. We are here to serve. And thank you. Have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, and please stay safe. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, our veterans.
Absolutely.